Take a look at the investment pyramid here. This is the traditional investment pyramid that you may have seen before. You will see that it's divided into 5 equal sections. At the bottom of the pyramid is where there's no short-term risk, and at the top is where it's the most risky. Cash is king, yes, but it doesn't multiply if you don't put it to use. In the short run, it's very comfortable. Let's say that you have a $100 bill in your pocket, and if the market crashes, no problem. You still have your money. The problem in the long run is you still have that $100 bill, and it is now worth less because of inflation. In the long run, you've been hurt by your $100 bill and your cash because cash doesn't grow. Moving up the pyramid, you see the income category. As a reminder, this is not income that you earn, but this is income that your money earns. In this category, you generally find bonds and other investments primarily focused on generating cash. It might be very comfortable to put the majority of your assets here. However, bonds are not designed to grow. A $100,000 bond years later matures at $100,000 with less purchasing power because of inflation. You find interest-bearing investments here like CDs and bonds and even bond mutual funds. And we've already learned that CDs and bonds don't generally keep up with inflation. The growth and income risk category is next. This category is where you find utility companies, companies that historically pay strong dividends, all the while giving you some growth potential. Yes, the stock prices in this category do fluctuate, but the up and the downs is not as shocking and over time should outpace inflation. The growth category is next, representing companies that are on the move. Many of these companies are still expanding and growing into different markets. Companies like Walmart and Lowe's and Coca-Cola are still growing and looking for growth opportunities. Many companies are now looking beyond United States borders to find international consumers. And this category will fluctuate more as the market moves. The highs will be generally higher than the growth and income category, and the lows will be generally lower. There's more risk in this category, but not the most. At the top of the pyramid, you see the aggressive growth category. This is where you find the most risk. Here, you will find companies that are still trying to become big. Here, you'll find international companies that are trying to compete with the big guys. And some of the companies may become the next great performers that continue to grow for decades, like Microsoft, and some of them will become bankrupt. The market fluctuations in the aggressive growth category are strong. When the market's in favor of this category and those who are taking the risk, the reward is very attractive. But when the market is out of favor, the downside is hurtful. You'll see 20, 30, even 40% up years, but you may also see 20, 30, or 40% down years. This market ride is dramatic, and in this category, it feels like you're on an extreme roller coaster. It's not for the faint of heart. The traditional investment pyramid may not be enough in our world today. This pyramid is static, but life isn't. Therefore, I've expanded the traditional investment pyramid into what I call the Wayshak Pyramid. The Wayshak Pyramid has become a foundation for many, and I hope it becomes one for you. Let me build for you the Wayshak Pyramid. Take the traditional investment pyramid we just discussed. Now turn it 90 degrees to the right. You'll notice the size and the shape of the pyramid did not change, and the risk tolerance categories stayed the same. Now, the risk is lowest at the left and highest at the right. Next, draw a line through the middle. This is a timeline from the left to the right. Begin with 0 on the left, and at the 2-year mark, you go through the cash section and you enter income. Then year 3 and 4, which now enters growth and income. Next is 5 and 6, and you see what I'm doing. 7 and 8 years are in the growth category, and 9 and 10 are more in aggressive growth. After the timeline is inserted, the next step is to draw a squiggly line cutting the pyramid in 2. On the left of the cut, there are the cash and the income risk categories. And on the right, growth and income, the growth and the aggressive growth. And the squiggly line is not straight because life isn't predictable. And you'll see that the Wayshak Pyramid is cut right around the 4-year mark or so. So as you begin to fund your plan, you will start at the left and fill in your emergency cash and your known extras. Now that you've filled the left side of the Wayshak Pyramid, this represents your short-term requirements. You have to have readily available money to cover your emergencies and your unexpected events and your normal life events. You have to allocate for your known extras. These are important planned events and expenditures that you can predict that will maintain your standard of living. When you fill in these areas, you're filling in your short-term requirements, and this should allow you to sleep very well at night, knowing that your emergencies are covered and your known extras are accounted for. Emergency cash and known extras. If you know the answer to these, then you fill up the cash need and you keep filling through the income risk category as appropriate. Only after you have filled in your short-term requirements do you have the opportunity to fill in the right portion of the pyramid, which is for longer-term planning. There is never a requirement to take aggressive risk. Therefore, you never have to fill all the way to the tip. Perhaps you'll only get as far as growth and income. No problem. But most experts agree that you should have some money exposed to growth. Now, when you create your plan, you'll be able to feel more comfortable that you've created it correctly. You know, a gentleman came to me a couple years ago, and he said that he only had 2 years before he was ready for retirement. Because he had not saved up enough, he wanted to go aggressive. He was looking for that hot stock or that get-rich strategy. Well, we took a look at the Wayshak Pyramid timeline, and we noticed he doesn't have enough time to be taking this amount of risk. I did not take him as a client. On the other hand, one of my clients, Joanne, came because her CD was maturing. After I asked her about her financial plan, she said, "Shaq, don't worry about me. I'm diversified." Well, I asked her to tell me more. And here's what she shared with me. She said with kind of a great deal of pride that she had a CD coming due at Bank ABC, and another one at Bank DEF, and still another one at another bank. And I hated to be the one to tell her this, but she wasn't diversified at all. "Joanne," I explained, "you aren't diversified. You have all of your money in the cash risk category. You just have different people reporting it to you." She had no real plans to spend this money, as she had other money available for emergencies and known extras. She had time on her side, but was not taking the risk appropriate with that time. A diversified risk that will help her stay even with or outpace inflation. As it is now, at age 55, she's going to start losing purchasing power after you take into consideration inflation and taxes. And her real rate of return probably won't keep up with inflation. Well, most men populate the Wayshak Pyramid from the top down or from the right to the left. The aggressive growth category, well, that's kind of the sexy one. This is where you buy all of the hot stocks. Here, you take significant risk, which leads to wonderful barroom discussions about how much money you made. When the aggressive risk category is being rewarded, the stories about how much money begin to sound like that big fish that got away or that hole-in-one golf shot. Everybody loves an up market. But when the risk is not being rewarded and the market takes a downturn, these same men get frustrated. Their barroom conversation turns to women or politics, but anything but their losses. And they end up selling everything, pulling their money out of the stock market and buying something else. They go from the top of the Wayshak Pyramid and they jump over the vast middle and they put all their money in cash. And I start hearing, I lost all of my money in the stock market, Shaq. I'm never going to do that again. What this usually represents is the investor who took crazy risk of consuming the entire bottle of medicine at once. They misused the market and the medicine, and they were gamblers, not planners. On the other hand, most women populate the Wayshak Pyramid correctly, from the bottom up, or from the left to the right. They fill in their cash category first. And unfortunately, they continue to focus on this category. Like Joanne, they just keep buying CDs or end up keeping too much money in savings accounts or money markets or checking accounts. And why do they do this? Because it's easy and comfortable. By not going much above the cash and income risk category, these same women are missing the vast middle as well. With men, I have to push them down the Wayshak Pyramid so they don't take up too much risk. But with women, I have to kind of pull them up. Well, look at the new pyramid here. You will see that the shaded area is marked the vast middle. Usually within the vast middle are steady, proven, long-term growth and income type investments that can easily be found, many times at reasonable prices. Investments in the vast middle can be held over a period of time, generating capital appreciation and strong income, all the while outpacing inflation and preserving your standard of living. As you create your plan, don't miss the vast middle of wonderful potential investments. To summarize, investors typically take either too much risk or not enough. Although the aggressive growth category is available to invest in, there aren't really a lot of investors that should be investing here at all. You can and should take appropriate risk based on the time you have allowed. The price of most goods and services go up over time. The price of a stamp will probably never go down. Allocate for your short-term requirements first, then start filling into your longer-term plan. You cannot create a long-term plan with only short-term investments. Short-term investments are just not designed to outpace inflation or keep you ahead when you consider taxes and inflation. Work with your professional team to create a well-thought-out, comprehensive plan.